Greetings to all followers of Fethullah Gulen, the blessed man, as far as I'm concerned. I was his friend, not a particularly close friend, but I was his friend. And he treated me and welcomed me to his home in Pennsylvania, with great openness of heart and generosity and love. And that touched me very, very deeply and remains with me. So my message today, in the aftermath of his passing, first of all, remember the greatness of the man, the greatness of Fethullah Gulen as a spiritual leader who touched me as a Christian. I am a Christian, and I have my own service, but I felt and feel very united, extremely united to Fethullah and his spiritual pathway and his spiritual journey. That Fethullah Gulen was a great leader, a great spiritual leader. He, in his reputation as a spiritual leader, will only continue to rise. It can only get greater. I know at this moment there are voices and organs, outlets of the Turkish state that are saying terrible things about this man. They're all untrue. And according to my faith as a Christian, this only indicates and proves, according to the teaching of Jesus, that you are basically on the right track. When men speak evil of you and speak all kinds of falsehood about you because you are committed to the gospel, then rejoice, as Jesus says, because they treated the prophets of old. And it means to say that you are in the path of a prophet. And rejoice and be glad, because your reward will be great in the kingdom of God, in the kingdom of heaven. So my first thing is to encourage you and to salute Fethullah Gulen in his life and in his passing. And I do so because I know both him and his followers. And the first thing I will mention is knowing him, because I went to visit him about 4 years ago, and I was first welcomed to his prayer session, and it's filled with prayer, it's filled with spiritual prayer, and he asked me to sit beside him. So I was very honored to sit beside him. And then afterwards we had dinner, we had a meal, and it was noteworthy how the meal was simple, if not even poor. And this was because Fethullah Gulen required everybody, including himself, to eat what his followers were eating, probably in difficult conditions in Turkey, especially those in jail. So essentially, we were eating jail food. But it was an act of spiritual solidarity, which was very meaningful, because it meant that Fetullah's heart reached out across the oceans, across the Atlantic, across the Mediterranean, to his followers and to everybody who was suffering. And he's also known, I think, as the weeping teacher, that he wept a lot because he cried tears because of the depth of his sense of his message, of the truth that he was teaching from Islam, but also because of the suffering of the people who followed him. It moved him very, very deeply. So the next thing that happened after dinner was that we were called, a number of us were called to meet him personally. We went to his private chambers, and he motioned to me, he knew I was there, and he motioned to me to come forward and to sit on his own chair. And this was an extraordinary privilege, because he's a man with, I think, I hear 2 million followers, who's extremely humble, a man of God. So I told him that, in my opinion, that he should not be discouraged by the things that are happening in Turkey. He should not be frightened or downcast in any way. He should be strong and joyful, because God was with him. I mean, that's basically what I said. I am not a great expert in Islam. I have enormous respect for Islam, and especially my brothers and sisters in the Hizmet movement, the ones I know. And I thought to myself, well, if they're like this, their leader must be more so. That was always my impression. I never, ever had the slightest suspicion of malpractice of any sort. Totally the contrary from these people, from the followers of Hizmet. And so in my own mind, I was convinced that the propaganda coming out of the Turkish government had to be untrue. So again, my message to all those who feel bereft and are grieving the loss of Fethullah, my message would be the same as I gave to him. Do not fear. Do not be frightened. Do not be discouraged, because God is with you and your reward is great. And I say that as a Christian who has learned from a Muslim. Thank you.